defy credulity that aides and appointees would have a personal annoyance. Therefore, they shut down the biggest bridge in the world.
When things were first reported, I said, this can't possibly be true, because who would do something like that? Sometimes people do inexplicably stupid things. And so that's what makes it so hard then to, as the guy in charge, none of it made any sense to me. And to some extent still does not. This report says that I had no knowledge of it before it happened, nor did I authorize it or have anything to do with it. And that's the truth.
That's Diane Sawyer with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie on ABC. Aaron Katersky joins us through the magic of radio to talk about this new report. Good morning, Aaron Katersky.
Good morning, McGraw. It's a report that Chris Christie's own attorneys put together at a cost to taxpayers of about $1 million. And to critics, it's a whitewash. To other critics, it's at best lacking thoroughness. And to Chris Christie, it's vindication because the report finds him blameless in the political traffic trick that snarled traffic on the New Jersey side of the George Washington Bridge.
Okay, so it's his lawyers, but it's at taxpayers' expense? That's interesting.
Well, it's lawyers that the governor's office hired. So, yeah, it's $650 an hour, a firm in New York, not even New Jersey, no less. So there are a lot of taxpayers who I think are, rather upset that they had to pay for a report that, had a foregone conclusion, which is Chris Christie had nothing to do with the lane closures. Now, that said, there are some interesting things in the report that one of which is that the office that he runs is so structurally flawed that it requires its own ethics czar and a constituent advocate. You'd think the governor would be the constituent advocate in the group, but the report made clear that his office needs somebody to watch how people are behaving and to make sure that they're being responsive to the public.
What about the guy who stood up and took the fifth on all of this? Why wasn't that a bigger story in all of this?
Well, David Wildstein was not able to be interviewed by Christie's attorneys. Neither was Bridget Kelly, his one-time deputy chief of staff. Those are the two principals that get the blame for the lane closures. And without their testimony to these attorneys, the report does raise questions about its thoroughness. The attorneys say, listen, people can lie, but documents don't. And they had the documents to show that Christie was blameless in all of this. Wildstein says that he told Governor Christie on the third day of the lane closures what was going on. Christie says he doesn't recall the conversation.
Yeah. All right. So, clearly this is big boy politics going on. He sits down with ABC's Diane Sawyer the day after this story comes out. The headlines are Christie innocent type of deal. This is clearly a planned public relations opportunity for Christie.
What, you don't think that our ability to get a good interview was carefully booked and a testament to the prowess of ABC News?
I am not impugning ABC News in any way, shape, or form.
I listen, and I think it continues today because Chris Christie is going to have a news conference later this afternoon where he's going to take even more questions about this report, and it gives him something to lean on as he continues to defend himself as the questions swirl about what he knew and when he knew it. And the report does, raise as many questions as it attempts to answer, and chief among them is what did these aides know? And why weren't they interviewed, and what would their testimony have showed, and what about other players who were not included in the report? And is there really an absence of evidence of Christie's guilt, or evidence of absence, I guess? And there are still, I think, a lot of questions that Christie's going to face today about this. He told ABC News that this is not going to affect whether he decides to run for president. He said people in Iowa still love him. And he is convinced that he can weather this political storm.
Well, the guy got lap band surgery. The guy looks great. He's losing weight. He's handling this scandal perfectly. I don't think you can handle a scandal any better. I mean, it all leads up to the fact that it sounds like he might be running for president.
Oh, I think that's all but a foregone conclusion. I mean, I think you're right. And listen, I don't think, as a former federal prosecutor, I don't think he is lacking in any kind of, savvy here. I mean, if he did order a political hit, his fingerprints aren't going to be on it. And so I think he ultimately does come out, clean himself. But, there are going to be questions about people in his inner circle in an office that he ran so tightly. It's been said. That the buck stops with him, and the reputation that he portrays on the campaign trail is that I'm the guy, I'm in charge, everybody works for me, and if you don't like it, you're an idiot, as he's called reporters on the campaign trail. So this bucks the image that he wants to portray, and yet he says he did not create the climate for this kind of political retribution, and he says it was not done on his behalf.
And what's really interesting about all this is that the Fort Lee, New Jersey mayor didn't not endorse him and was never asked for his endorsement. And so that guy's even coming to Christie's defense saying, I don't know why he would do something like that.
No, and in fact, Christie has said that there was never an expectation that this mayor would endorse him. Christie's people reached out. To be clear, back in March of last year, Christie's people reached out they were doing an outreach to all the Democratic mayors because Christie wanted not only a win for his reelection, but he wanted a bipartisan win, and he wanted that, of course, to show in 2016 that he had bipartisan appeal. This particular mayor declined to endorse him, but he has even said that a couple of months later, Christie had approached him for some ceremonial appointment, so he didn't think there were any hard feelings. And Christie says that if his two former aides thought they were trying to please him by tying up traffic in Fort Lee, where this mayor, was in office, they didn't know him very well.
Yeah. Are the two who were let go, are they ever going to be able to tell their story?
Well, they're seeking immunity to tell it because once federal prosecutors got involved, they have a fear of criminal prosecution. So they are seeking immunity to give their stories to the state legislature, to federal prosecutors, and that sort of that part of the story is still in progress.
Right. Now, I mean, I think, we're all smart enough to know that he can weather the storm if he's not lying. If it's found out that Christie knew in any way, shape, or form, you have to assume that he's done.
Sure. And I think that would be that would be the logical conclusion. The other thing that he has to watch out for is if these aides tell a story that make it, as Diane's question suggested, that it would define credulity that he didn't know. That may also be a problem for him. And remember, David Wildstein, the bureaucrat who ordered the lane closures, says that not only did he tell Christie, but evidence exists that he did know about them while they were happening.
Yeah, interesting. Aaron Katersky, have yourself a good, safe weekend. Happy opening day. Enjoy your Boston celebration, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you, McGraw.
All right, man. 7:30 here, Big 550 KTRS.